Okay, guys. Now, today we're talking about computers. Speaking of technology, of course, when somebody talks about technology, the first thing that comes to mind, or should come to mind, is not a fork, right? It's obviously a spoon. It's actually a computer. So, we should say goodbye to and we should look at computers. Now, we were just having some fun with the definition of computer, the history of computers, and now we have a group of scientists here, and I would like to ask the scientists right here, and of course computer experts, the first computers appeared. When did the first computer appear on Earth? Was it a Mac or was it a PC? Was it Steve Jobs or was it Bill Gates? The first computer. The first computer looked something like this, like a stick, and people would say, one. Now tomorrow, I have 10 more days until my birthday. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah? And here's my birthday! Woo! So, this was a tally stick. Tally stick. How long ago? About 20,000 years ago. 20,000 years ago. Not very important though. So, the first computer was not born after Bill Gates or Steve Jobs. The first computer, which has been recorded, came to birth some 20,000 years ago. And it was a tally stick. People would put things like that and... So what's a computer? Real quick. Anything that computes. What is to compute? To compute. And then we have computation, right? Computation. What is computation? It's a form of calculation. So to compute is actually to calculate. So is the calculator a computer? Of course! You bet it's a calculator. It is a computer. Yeah? So calculate. So computation. Compute, computer. Something that computes. Yes? The word computer, TUI, scientist TUI. The word computer was first used in 1613 by the word computer, a British writer known as whatever, in a book. And then at the end of the 19th century, which is 18 something, for example 90s, and then when we entered the 20th century, there's 19 whatever, the term computer, well here it was a person who could calculate, right? Here it became like a machine that could calculate. And then around which war? World War II, the Second World War, computers were used for military purposes, right? Some military applications. They were analog computers, right? Analog. And then came digital computers. Now, what's the difference? Only God knows. Now, no. So we have analog and digital. TUI knows the difference between analog computers and digital computers very well. Not very important. Here is like 1, 2, here's only a system of 0, 1, whatever, it goes on. But anyways, now we're living in a digital world. We're living in a computerized world. Computerized. Everything and everywhere seems to be computerized. Yes? Yes? And of course, computers, to compute, computation, computerized, and of course the cyber world. Cyber world. Virtual reality. But this only happened after the cyber world and virtual reality actually happened after, with the advent of what? With the advent of the internet.
Wow.
Yes, we want to have a look at the World Wide Web as well, but first we want to start with computers. So we will look at the cyber world, virtual reality, and what's going on in there, but first we need to have a look at computers themselves, right? Now, before getting into this competition between Macs and PCs and Mr. Late Mr. Steve Jobs, and of course, a philanthropist, Bill Gates. Before getting into that discussion, we want to look at a computer and some of the words we use when we look at computers, right? Now, no matter where computers came from, right now, we do have computers and we use them. What are different types of computers that we use and we see? Well, she said laptop, but first we have these big things, yeah, and then there's a thing here, and then there's a, we put this on the table, and then there's a keyboard, and then there's a
mouse.
Yeah? So this whole thing, this one is, what kind of computer is this?
CPU.
It's not a laptop, it's a?
CPU.
It's not a laptop, it is a?
Desktop.
Thank you, okay, that's why we're going to Jackass. So, desktop. Steak, raw, medium, or well, desktop. Yeah. So desktop computers, you put them on the desktop. There are some different parts, but we'll look at the parts. But first, we have desktop computers, and then we have laptops, and then we have some computers that you can put in the palm of your hand. Palm top. Now, palm top is an old word that never became very popular because then we had the cell phones that were like this. We had PDAs, or personal digital assistant. Yeah, PDA. So you have a personal digital, such as organizers. I don't know if you remember those organizers. There were digital organizers that would have digital calendars. So on and so forth. So let's take a look at this and say, okay, we have desktop computers right now, we have laptops, we have palm tops, but we don't call them palm tops anymore. Now we have tablets, right? Tablets. And we also have phablets. Now we have smartphones, which are actually different kinds of computers, right? We also have some other types, such as MP3 or MP4 players or recorders. Of course, when we talk about MP4, are we talking about video or audio or together? MP3, we're talking about audio, right? MP4, we're talking about video, audio. Correct? So MPEG-4 or MP4, an MP4 player also shows video. Because MPEG-4 or MP4 is a video format. Whereas MP3 is an audio format. You just listen to Ray. But if you want to watch Ray, which is highly recommended, is an MPEG. You need an MPEG-4 player, MP4 player. And if you want to snap, you go to Jackass. Yeah. So we have desktop computers, laptop computers, palm-top computers, PDAs or personal digital assistants, that's kind of old, digital organizers, but all these are personal digital assistants, the smartphones. Right now, more and more people are using smartphones as their personal computers because they have everything a computer would give you. We will look at that a little bit too. So the phablets, why phablet? Phablet is a word Why? So because we have tablets, everyone knows tablets. Yeah? We have iPad. iPad is a kind of tablet. Yes? iPad 1, iPad 2, iPad 3. It goes on. That's a tablet, right? But what's a phablet then? Fabulous tablet? No. What's a phablet? A phone and tablet together would become a phablet.
Yeah.
It's a phone and a tablet because you can put a SIM card in it. So phone plus tablet becomes a phablet because you can. It's a tablet where you can put a SIM card. You put a SIM card, and you can speak to me. Feels good, right? Amazing.
No.
No. Yeah. In your dreams. Okay. Now, amazing technology. So let's see. Of course, they have their pluses and minuses. Desktop computers are usually what? We would talk about them. So what's the, if you compare a desktop with a laptop, why would people buy laptops and why would they buy desktops? Why do we have a desktop here in the office and not a laptop? And why do I prefer to have a laptop?
So it's portable.
Portable! Say it again?
Portable.
Yeah, because portable means like, I can, so because of portability. So portable, and I want you to learn this word, portable. And it's different from potable, which is something that you can drink. So potable is something you can drink. It's potable, like potable water.
Portable.
But portable is something you can port. Yeah? So, yeah. No, that's not doing fine, yes. So, so we would say, you want to buy something, I'm not really sure if I want to buy a laptop or a PC. And the guy asks you, is portability an issue? So is portability an issue? So that's portability. Is portability an issue? You say, yes, portability is a big issue. So even laptops, some are more portable than others. What laptop would be more portable for you? So we have portability as opposed to functionality. You know functionality? Functionality. You're looking at the function. When I want to buy one of these, or all of these, if I have limited budgets, I need to first buy something first, right? I should look at my priorities, right? My priorities. It would be great if I had so much money and I could buy all of them, I could afford them all. But if I have to buy just one or two, then I should look at my priorities. What's a priority?
Portability.
That's your priority? Okay. So priority is something that's important for me. That's prior to anything else. What are your priorities when buying a computer? Functionality. So for her, function is important. So is portability an issue for you?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay, you should be more clear about your priority because you should choose one of them.
It depends on your purpose. Because the desktop is more, it works more, more consistently. I mean, it's stronger, it's faster, it's.
So you want, if you want more power,
power.
More power for less money. Because we do have powerful laptops, but of course the price range is different. If you're looking at, for example, an i7 CPU in a laptop or a desktop is a lot cheaper. But laptop technology, because it's small nanotechnology, actually is more expensive. But it's portable. You can take it anywhere you want to go. So you should look at your options, and you should look at your priorities and what you want. What do you want to do with it?
I compare it before because I use some software for but pretty much so simple. Even though it's the same
configuration.
Yeah,
so,
but desktop always stronger.
Very good, yes, and there's a reason for it. So we say the same specs here when you want to go shopping, you see the same specs. The same specs. So you need to learn the word specs. Because right after this I'm going to have to remove some of these here. So we know tablets and phablets and smartphones and MP3 players and MP4 players, personal digital assistants, so on and so forth. I'm going to say goodbye to them. And now I am comparing, let's say, in a desktop and a laptop. And I want to buy one of them. So what am I looking at? Before looking at hardware and stuff, I'm looking at which one to buy. And then we're looking at the hardware. And then software, right? Because speaking of computers, we have hardware versus software. And where is like this. Remember the spelling of where. So hardware, software, right? Hardware is like what? A desktop computer has, we need something to watch. What do we call that thing? It's not a TV, it's not a television.
Screen?
It's a monitor. Yeah? Which is a screen actually, of course. The screen. Now we have flat screen monitors. They're on flat screen, right? Flat screen, LEDs, LCD, whatever the technology is. Then you need to know the size of your monitor. The size is important, right? Do you want to have a 14-inch monitor? 15, 16, 17, 21, whatever. Then you can buy any size of monitor that you would like. Of course, another important factor while choosing a monitor is the what of the monitor? So the size and the you're buying a monitor.
Resolution?
Yes! That's why we're going to the resolution. Yeah. That's why I'm breathless. Because of the resolution. Yeah. Size and resolution. Size and resolution. Well, these are two major issues when buying it. Of course, some people also care for the brand. I'm taking Kay to, of course, we've purchased our house in Michigan, and I'm taking her to a computer shop, and now she's choosing her computer. The only problem is the brand is Samsung.
Yeah.
That's a major issue. I'm like, Kay, I want to surprise you. Close your eyes, and I walk her to the store. Now open your eyes.
No. No.
So of course, some people have problems with the brand. There's something in the digital world we call bland. I'm so Japanese. Now, it's called brand loyalty. Brand loyalty. Or some people call it brand bias. Bias. What is brand loyalty? When you're loyal to a brand. For example, this brand loyalty is at its peak is at its peak, means is at its highest level when it comes to Apple fans, the product of the Apple company, Macintosh. The Mac fans, some people accuse them of following a religion. They say Mac is a religion because people who buy Mac, they are so loyal to this brand that experts would say this is a brand bias because you are biased toward Apple. Saki is a good example of a brand biased customer. Next time she wants to buy a phone, she doesn't even have to go to other brands to check, oh, maybe there's a better Samsung available. No, she just closes her eyes. Apple, iPhone 7, iPhone 8. So that's what happens. This is called brand bias. Yes. Yes, my friend. Yes.
Yes.
Admit it.
Yes.
Huh? Have you heard it like they say admit it? Admit it.
Admit it.
Admit it.
Yes.
Thank you. She closes her eyes. Okay. So this brand loyalty or stuff. Okay, so next is also the brand you want to look at. So there are some factors you look at. Some people like, I want to buy Sony. I want to buy Samsung. I want to buy Apple. Mac. Yes. And some people buy like a Samsung and put this Apple thing on somewhere with a bite. So, yeah. So, anyways. So, this is when you want, speaking of hardware, we have a monitor. Yes? Monitor. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. The monitor, the important things about the monitor was the size and the resolution and brand. Of course, after that, I would need to have a monitor case. In the case, I have some parts. Things such as the hard drive or in my computer. What is the brain of my computer?
CPU.
Thank you. Say it again.
CPU.
Yes. So I have the CPU, or central processing unit, because it's a processing unit, right? Central processing unit. Central processing unit, or CPU of my computer. Next, I need to have RAM. Yeah? What is RAM for? And I need to have memory, which is actually RAM. Our memory, the memory of my computer, could be RAM, which is temporary memory. RAM is short, like human beings, our brain, actually computer, is best modeled after human brain. So our human brain, we have a CPU that processes data. It processes everything. And then we should store the data, right? In our brain. To store, right? To store. Now, where do we store the data? To store the data or data. The information. Where do we store it? In our brain, right? We have some cells, brain cells, we store it there. Now the computer, and you know that we say, oh, I'm in my memory. I have many memories from childhood. So a computer also has memory. Now a computer has two types of memory like we do. We have two types of memory. We have short-lived memory. Yes, Saki?
Short-term.
Short-lived or short-term.
Long-term.
So short-term, which is better, and long-term. So we have short-term memory and long-term memory. A computer is like that too. So in a computer, the short-term memory is called RAM. The long-term memory Before it was HDD. Now we have the new type SSD, which is called solid state. So if you look at the definition or the abbreviation, SSD or solid state drive, whereas HDD, hard disk drive, which is hard disk drive, and SSD would be solid state drive.
We have portable memory, that is USB or...
Thank you very much. So we have portable memory. We have portable memory, which is USB, cool disks, yeah? Or some people call it like flash memory. Now, it's interesting for me to tell you what the HDD and SSD, it's interesting because right now when you go shopping computers, it's a new fad that, hey, SSD. Yes. One difference between Mac computers and, of course, PC computers in the older days was when you actually switch them on, turn them on, the Mac computers boot faster. Because Mac computers started using SSD faster than PCs did. And even today, the Mac computers, like all the MacBook Pros of today, they use SSD only. But some computers use some sort of a hybrid system, and you hear the word hybrid, between these two. And I'll tell you what, SSD is much more expensive, and it has less room, less memory. For example, if you buy a Mac, you usually end up with maybe 128 gigabytes. Whereas the old Macs, you have 500. Right now, the Windows machines usually have 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes, which is a large memory, but that's HDD. SSD is solid state. It's much faster and much more reliable, but very expensive. That's why the prices of Mac are really high. Now, of course, we have Windows machines that use this as well. SSD. I've changed actually the memory of my own computer at home, which is a Windows, to SSD, and it's much faster. I just switch it on and it's on after 4 or 5 seconds. Less than 10 seconds and it's on and I can use it. Whereas like HDD, you have to wait.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Just to show you, it's crazy how it works. It's just, I want to show off a little bit. Huh? But let me show off. This is unboxing. I just want to show you how it works. SSD, if you just want to see how it works, it's just crazy. So, I want to show you the speed. And just look. When I open this, I expect to see something like this, right? So I need to give it my password. And I don't want you to see my password, but okay.
I want to see.
So, I would put this down here, and I would go, oh, sorry. Okay, so I put in the password. I want everyone to see. So I just want to press so the password goes in and see how long it takes for this to boot, right? So I would go, finished. I can use my computer.
Wow. But I didn't see you open it.
Yeah, but this is the this one actually, at this point in time, is the strongest laptop in the world. It is. It's the strongest Mac that exists. But this is how fast it is. And I can start doing anything right now. So I can actually start using my Final Cut Pro, which is dip, dip, dip. Yeah. And who's in there? Yeah? How does it feel? Like something that happened yesterday. You have an appointment with someone, you come all the way from your job here. Okay. So I would just say this, and this is exactly how fast it is. So I would just do this, and it's over. And if I wanted to switch that on again, it's as fast as that. So this would have been thought impossible only a few years ago. People would think, oh, that's impossible to be so freaking fast. So freaking fast. Now, this is because it's SSD. Now, even MacBook Pros that use HDD are not this fast. So that's why these things, and next year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, technology will change. So technology is changing all the time, and hopefully for the better. Now, let's take a look at this. So here we have the solid state and HDD memory. So the memory is important because that's usually this RAM. When you want to buy a computer, right now the largest RAM that's available in the market is 16 gigabytes usually, unless there's specialized computers out there, which is the fact. Now this one is 16 gigabytes of RAM. Of course, that means a lot. Why would you need RAM? Why would you need RAM? What is the difference? Now, the difference is, guys, it's important. Today we're looking at computers, so it's good to know these things. Really, it's important to know. Why do people need a lot of RAM?
Process faster if you have larger RAM.
So, when you actually, computers, one thing computers do is they run different operations simultaneously at the same time, right? This is called multitasking, right? Multitasking. Computers are capable of, they have multimedia. You can watch a movie, same time surf the internet, surf the net, same time have an editing program open, at the same time so you can have different applications open, right, at the same time. So this is called multitasking. Now what happens every time you open something, a new device, or a new application, sorry, every time you open a new application, or you're, for example, you're watching the videos, the first memory the computer goes to is the short-term memory. That's how we do things. We first put things in our short-term memory and then transfer them to, or at least part of the operation is done in the short-term memory. So computers also work like our brains. So if I'm running programs that are heavy, in terms of the CPU power they need, the brain power they need from the computer needs uses the RAM. So if I have, the larger my RAM, the smoother the operation of my computer. So if for example, if I'm a person who's using certain programs, like I'm a graphics designer, or I'm a video editor, or I'm using very heavy software programs, I would need more RAM on my computer. It makes the operations of my computer simply smoother. That's why they would ask you, if you're buying a computer, and say, of course, the more you pay, the more specs you get. Specs, we talked about it. What are specs? Specifications. So there are features and specifications that you want to look at. When you want to buy a digital product, like a camera, like a computer, like anything what do you look at? A cell phone. Smartphone. You look at the specifications. What are specifications? There's a table that tells you memory this much. CPU, i7, i5, whatever. Video format, audio format. You look at these things because you want to know, okay, do they match your needs? Do the specifications match your needs? You don't want to pay a lot of money for basic needs. That's why there are different computers and different prices. If I need an and then we'll look at that. For example, when we look at the CPUs, the CPUs that are right now, the CPU we talked about it, the central processing unit, which is the brain of the computer, it could be an i3, i5, and i7. It also has something which is called the clock speed, which you would see, for example, 2.6 gigahertz. So for a CPU, and they, of course, the company that made it, for example, this is Intel CPU. Intel CPU. The company that made it is Intel, and then it's an i3 or i5 or i7. 2 point. Now the difference between these CPUs is the speed. The stronger your CPU, the faster the speed of your computer. It's good to know these things, because when the next time you want to buy a computer, it's good to know. So in i3 and i5 and i7, the speed is important. Now the point is that basically means your computer can compute, can calculate, or run more operations in 1 second. How many operations can one computer run in 1 second? That depends on how big the brain is. If the brain is a faster brain that is an i5, can do more at the same time than i3. i7, at this point in time, can do more than i5. But there are other factors as well. One of the factors is this HDD or SSD. Because if we have i7 plus SSD, the result will be this. Because the CPU needs to go to the hard to retrieve data. Retrieve is an important word in the world of computers. So we have to retrieve data or data. You know, data or data are both correct. Data or data are both correct. And actually, the data is the plural word for singular, datum. But the word datum is not used anymore. Datum was actually the singular form of the word data. Like bacterium, bacteria. Datum, data. But nobody ever uses bacterium anymore or datum anymore. So most people just use data, both for singular and plural use now. So data or information or data, like database, like we have database. Or database. So retrieve is a very important word because you need to retrieve information. You go get information. In the computer language, we use the word retrieve. So the computer does certain things. You retrieve information, then you process the information. What is process? You process things in your mind. First, data will be stored. What is stored? Memorized by a computer. It's in the memory. When you save something in a computer, what happens? You are storing the data. The data gets stored somewhere. And usually you tell the computer where to go save that data. So the information, the data, is stored somewhere. And every time your computer is thinking, and the mouse cursor goes like zzz. It's thinking. It happens a lot in Windows machines. Usually you don't see that a lot in Mac machines because it's faster in terms of thinking. The computer is actually processing things. Now, if computer is processing so many different things at the same time, computer is multitasking, right? So, the faster the processing unit of your computer, which is the CPU, central processing unit, the processing is faster. Easy, right? The better your hard drive, it's faster to retrieve the information, the things that the CPU needs. Again, your computer becomes faster. So, these are some of the major elements that you look at when you buy a computer, right? And that's what the price depends on. So if I want to buy a computer, of course, one of the most major issues that I'll look at would be the CPU power. Is it an i3, i5, or i7, or before that? Pentium, whatever. I don't know if you remember the first computers 20 years ago, Pentium 1, then Pentium 2, to Pentium 3, Pentium 4. So we had Pentium computers. And then they were called the Pentium series. And after the Pentium series, now we have the I series. And since this world is very fast, the technological world is very fast, after 2 or 3 years, if you watch this video, you'll be laughing at i7. These are the I series. So, there are different companies when we're buying a computer. Of course, we'll look at the brand. For example, we have Asus, or Asus. Asus is a major computer brand. Like Toshiba. Toshiba, as we would say Toshiba. How would you say?
Toshiba.
Toshiba. Toshiba. Toshiba. Yeah. Such as Sony. Toshiba. How would you say Sony?
Sony.
They don't have O in Japanese, they have O. Sony.
Yeah, Sony.
Sony. Say Sony. The Japanese say Sony. Sony.
For me, it's same. It's
No, like when I say open, if I want to say open in Japanese, I should say open. Open.
No, open.
Well, you don't have O in your language.
Oh.
Yeah, think about it. You don't have O. You don't have it. If you want to say the Japanese O, it would be open. Like sunny.
Yeah.
Well, we say Sony. You say Sony. Yeah, but we say Sony. Oh, that's a Sony. Say so. Oh. What you say?
That's why you say sushi.
Yeah,
No?
sushi.
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 Avi, where are you? So we have Asus, Toshiba, Sony, Acer. What else?
LG.
LG. Is it making computers now? Samsung.
No, just a screen.
Yeah, all these different types of things. But inside the computer, usually just a few companies make motherboards, or the things that are inside the computer, or RAMs, or hards, or stuff like that. So just to wrap it up faster, so when I look at, so I need to buy a monitor, I need to buy, I have a case, and inside my case there are some things, and I'm looking at, and I'll look more inside the case, but outside there is a thing that's usually like this. It's a mouse, yes, and the plural of mouse is mice, yes, mouse, mice, and of course there is a keyboard, yeah, keyboard. Now, the keyboard and mouse technology, at that time, everything was wired, right? Wired. Then things became wireless. And now, things are becoming Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Everything is Bluetooth. and wireless. And optical, whatever, and I don't know what the situation. We have laser stuff now. I don't know what the future technology would be, what the next generation would be like. But I know now we're using wireless and Bluetooth technology. Okay? So, definitely we need a monitor, we need a case, we need a keyboard, we need a mouse. What else do we need? Sometimes we need printers. Printers.
Scanners.
Scanner.
Speaker.
Speaker. Sometimes we need sound cards. Sound cards that are external. Some of these things are external and internal. Internal is anything that's inside the case. External is anything that's outside. For example, some sound cards, when you want to listen to something by computer, you need a sound card, right?
And if
you want to see the graphics, you need a graphic card.
Yeah, graphic.
So it's a graphic card. Or graphics card. So graphic card. And then you hear words such as dedicated graphic card, which is means a separate graphic card. But you need a graphic card. Sometimes a graphic card, the good ones, are external because they're big. Such as external hard drives. External hard drives. The size is important. How much information, how much data it can contain. The volume. So it could be 1T, that is 1 terabyte. 2T, 2 terabytes. 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. The price goes up, right? The more data you can, and we have passports, external hard drives. Yeah, passport ones. What are passport ones? Very portable. I have one, but not here to show you.
Passports.
They look like passports. They're very thin,
I
and you
have.
can put them in your pocket. So
It's
it's a kind of, these contain a lot more than just a cool disk or a flash disk that we talked about earlier.
Basically, it's like USB.
USB port. We have the USB device. We have USB itself is not. This is not a USB. It's a flash disk or a cool disk, and it's a memory disk, right? It's a USB memory stick. They also call it memory stick. So people call it USB sometimes by mistake, because USB, universal whatever, universal stop something, is the name of the port. And let's look it up right now once again. So if you put USB, it stands for Universal Serial Bus. So USB is a universal serial bus. That's what it stands for. And actually is an industry standard developed, defines the cables, connectors, and communication protocols used in a bus connection communication. So it's about the protocol or whatever. And now we have USB 1, now we have USB 2, now we have USB 3. At this point in time, when we're doing this video, it's USB 3. It means the speed of the transferring of information is USB 3 now. It's very high. Now, Apple computers are equipped with something called Thunderbolt technology, the new ones, that are very fast. Now, I don't want to get into the details of that. I just want to talk about... Now, these are some of the things that I touch on are very important for anyone who actually wants to buy a computer or know at least how a computer functions. I just want to make sure that, okay, we're right on time. Now, so when you have a desktop computer, you already have the desk, you have the monitor, you have the keyboard, you have the mouse, and you have the case, and there are some external devices that are connected to your computer. Now, if you want to get prints, of course, you need a printer. Now, the printers were analog printers, now we have digital printers, now we have wireless printers that are wireless printers. Now, of course, when you speak of printers, you have color printers, you have black and white printers, you have laser printers, different kinds of printers. And then again, speaking of printers, you have the tuner that you have to refill or fill. Again, we have color printers. things like that. And then we talk about papers and all that, A4 sheets and A5 sheets and A3 sheets, which is the size of the paper. We need to look at that stuff as well. But we're not getting to that now because everyone knows what a scanner is, what speakers do. Yeah? Now, we have external sound cards. That's like a sound card. It's like a little thing, it's a digital thing that you can actually turn on or turn off, turn up the volume, turn down the volume. You can put in your microphone and it's for sound. We have graphics cards. Those people who do graphic-heavy programs, they would like to have external graphic cards, which does a better job for certain graphics software. I do music, so I need a huge sound card. Mine is actually huge. It's a Rack 3. And I use Pro Tools. So it's a different software. It's a music software. And we'll talk about the softwares a bit right now. So external, internal. Everyone knows what external is and what internal is, right? Okay, let's say goodbye to this. So these are definitely the parts of a desktop computer. Inside the case, so maybe the most important part of the case that people look at would be the CPU. So what's going on inside the case? Inside the case you have something that's called the power. Because power is a box like this, and then there's when you actually, behind every computer, there's a button. You switch on and off. When you switch on your computer behind, so electricity can go in, electricity goes into the power. So that powers your computer, right? Then you, of course, you look at the CPU, which is the brain. You look at the motherboard, which is a board on which you have the CPU. And sometimes your motherboard burns out, that's expensive, and you have to pay a lot of money to get it replaced. You have a fan inside that goes around to cool the CPU and the motherboard, right? Because when your computer is running heavy operations, it may overheat. To overheat. It's a good word. Do you remember old cars? When you drove a lot in hot summer days, the engine would overheat, and then they would have to just pop the trunk pop the hood, and pour some water to the engine. This is old days. So a computer can also overheat. Too much heat, it can overheat. So it needs a fan. And if the fan breaks and stops working, the computer might break down, right? It may burn out because too much heat, right? Overheating. And then, what else do we have? Of course, we have the memory, which is both RAM, we talked about it, short term, and long term, which would be either HDD or SSD or HDD. Sometimes you have a hybrid, both, where the data is stored. Then we have the cards, the graphic card, the sound card, things like that, and that's it. So you already have the hardware, and laptops, they have all these things in a very small, so the monitor is already there, the keyboard is already there. You can have, you usually have a mouse pad on Windows machines, mouse pad. What do we call the mouse pad in the Macs? They call it trackpad. Trackpad. But we have keyboard, we have trackpad, and we have some ports. On the computer, this is the side of the computer, and on this you have ports, right? Like this, like this, like this, and this is your computer. This is the keyboard, and these are some ports. You have the USB port, yes. You have the mic, we say microphone what? Mic jack. Yeah, we have the mic jack, microphone jack or port. And we have a headphone jack, microphone jack, headphone jack.
Something for the CD come in.
CD drive, CD-ROM, DVD. Now it's DVD right now. DVD. Right now we have Blu-ray, right? Blu-ray DVDs.
I don't know what's the difference between Blu-ray and DVD.
It's a new technology that's a lot more space and the higher resolution. So we have the DVDs and DVD drives. We used to have CDs. CDs were replaced by DVDs. DVDs were replaced by Blu-rays. And right now, the new Macs, there is no hard drive. You can get an external hard drive because now all programs are online. You don't buy anything like CDs. Well, there are still, but they're dying. For example, for Apple, you should go to App Store, and anything you want to buy, you buy from there, and you download. And you install on your computer.
But it may last.
No, you may lose it, the computer, but the App Store keeps it in for you.
Oh.
So every time you go to App Store, you know that you have purchased it, it's there, you download it again for free. Because that's yours. It's in your purchase basket.
Does it take time every time you download?
Not much time, no. Very fast. It's a different world now. It's a different world now, yes. Welcome to 21st century, Tweet.
I'm outdated.
So, now, I want to say goodbye to this part. So this is hardware, my hardware. Okay? So, it takes more to actually turn on a computer and start working. Right? So, next time you want to buy a computer, and when you want to compare right now, like before moving on to turning on a computer, first of all, let's look at other parts and then say, okay, if I want to buy a computer, what should I take into account? Okay, now I have my desktop or my laptop, and I want to switch it on. I turn it on, and there are two worlds here. One is PC, which is some people say PC is for both. Because PC, what does it stand for? What does PC stand for?
Something computer.
It stands for personal computer.